Welcome to MD Source, helping you become a more informed you when it comes to your health. With a mission to share the most accurate and up-to-date medical advice and tips for healthy living, MD Source has conversations with real doctors and medical professionals who are the experts on the topics you want to know about.
Hi, this is Morgan Hare with MD Source and the Alliance in Reconstructive Surgery, the AIRS Foundation with Cindy Barshop. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm very happy to be here.
So today we're going to talk about a subject that I think touches a lot of women, which is urinary incontinence.
Yes.
So tell us your journey and how you came to helping women with their problem of incontinence.
Urinary leakage.
Urinary leakage.
Okay, so we'll start off with the whole thing. I laughed so hard I peed in my pants. Well, that's not funny if you're a woman. After having my twins and previously being in the technology business with lasers and other things, I found out that there was something out there that helps with the age-old problem that every woman goes through at some point in their life of peeing in their pants when you exercise or if you dance or if you fall or you're startled. And then unfortunately, as we get older, it gets worse and worse. And everybody's asking, well, what kind of incontinence do you have? Is it like you can't get to the bathroom quick enough or you just go to the bathroom? So no matter what kind you have, it affects your everyday life. And we need to take a look at that.
So, okay, so there's several different kinds
Yes.
of
Yes.
urinary leakage.
Urinary leakage, yes.
We'll talk about that. There's stress.
There's stress incontinence, urge.
There's urge, overactive bladder, functional incontinence, overflow, mixed. I wasn't sure what mixed was, but
Probably
I
have
guess
both.
Combination of it all, and then transient. So are they all treated the same way, or are there different?
No, there's definitely different ways to treat different things. Usually with the stress and the urge incontinence, there's, you really need to go to a doctor to this, so I don't want to recommend anything. What we have here at the Vspot are a variety of treatments, non-surgical, no pain, no downtime, that actually treat different types of incontinence, that aren't risky. So we really need to take a look at, what type of incontinence you have. There's multiple types of technologies, whether it be radio frequency, there's CO2, there's platelet-rich plasma, there's high-fem technology that actually help strengthen the pelvic floor muscles. And these are new technologies that we have to look at because a lot of the older technologies and solutions that they had were invasive or kind of didn't work. So we really need to take a look at what's new out there, and there are things to help.
So what were some of the old technologies that really weren't helpful before we talk about what's new?
The biggest thing what we've always heard is Kegel. Kegel. Well, we've been Kegeling came out for, I think, 79 years ago or 69 years ago. And there are still books on how to Kegel, what to Kegel, Kegel classes, Kegel, in every magazine. So obviously there's a disconnect on how to Kegel and, what it does for you. Fast forward to now, thank God that there are some types of technologies where you can actually track if you're Kegeling correctly. So that was, a past way of doing it. Obviously, everybody's heard about when it's really bad is something with the sling that they had, or pelvic floor therapy.
What's the sling?
The sling is an operation that they put in. Yeah. There's pelvic floor therapy with things that go inside the canal and, outside. So I guess everything has helped a little bit, but we need to be educated enough, and thank you for being here, to understand that there are other ways to help with the incontinence and the urinary leakage. And, if we don't do something about it, it just gets worse. Do you know there's more adult diapers going to be sold in 10 years than baby diapers? How sad is that?
That's really sad to hear. So I know you talked about there is a chair that you sit on.
Oh, yes.
So tell us about that.
We call it the Kegel throne. You actually sit on this chair for 28 minutes, and it does 11,000 Kegels for you. Just sitting there. Now, let's understand that that's actually equal to 69 hours of Kegeling. And think about this. We suggest that you do 6 in a 3-week period. So really for it to take effect. So really the ability to Kegel at home is a little bit rough to do that many Kegels. So we have to start relying on some new technology to get us there.
And it's really about the muscles that you're trying to...
It's both. It depends on what type of incontinence you have. So think about it this way. There's inside the vaginal canal that supports the bladder, and then there's 10 pelvic floor muscles. So, here at the Vspot, we have the technology to do internally to help the tissue regeneration to support the bladder, and we have the chair that does the muscles. So, Dr. DeLucia or our other doctors would sit down. We go through a whole sectional health analysis, and we actually recommend whether it be the radio frequency with the PRP or so. There's a big science behind it, but there are ways to help you not having those embarrassing moments, and it affects your everyday life. Because I don't pee in my pants anymore, and I'm much happier.
So tell me about PRP. So protein-rich plasma.
Platelet-rich plasma.
Right.
So I can explain all the different radio frequency, PRP, HIFM, and CO2. So those are all the technologies that we hear at the Vspot. Platelet-rich plasma has been found so we do something called the O shot with PRP. So you take blood from your arm and it's put in a centrifuge and it's separated to the super powerful blood. PRP has been used in sports injury to help heal cartilage, to grow hair for years and years. So there's clinicals on that. So originally the PRP was injected into the clitoris and the G-spot area, right, which actually does also a tissue regeneration, helps with orgasms. But what they found when they were doing that is that it also helped with the incontinence, because what you're doing is you're strengthening the tissue that's holding the bladder. So that's the PRP. And you get great orgasms and enhanced orgasms and everything else. And if people who've never orgasmed, some orgasm now. Yeah, that's the PRP, but it's for incontinence and for orgasm.
Interesting to me, because I know about PRP for a long time. They do facelifts with it
Mm-hmm.
and joints and whatever else. But this is the first time I'm hearing about it helping with incontinence.
Oh, yes.
So tell me about the other.
So then there's the radio frequency, which actually heats up the tissue in a deeper level than a CO2. And deeper doesn't always mean better. You have to meet with the doctor, and actually helps do a tissue regeneration supporting the bladder. So everything's about supporting the bladder when it goes inside. On the outside, it's the Kegel. And that's the pelvic floor. So if you want, you could call us. I could find out who has the technology to actually, if you're not in New York and you can't come to the Vspot, that has the multiple or all the different technology that we have. So you could go to the right place, because in all honesty, one treatment is not going to work. This is, something that you have to start building. We're not doing surgery, but we are treating something that really affects your everyday life, and you have to maintain it.
So you talked about CO2 as well. And how does CO2 differ from radio frequency?
Radio frequency is a heating of the tissue to do a tissue regeneration. The CO2 is not as deep as the radio frequency. It's more on the surface area for the tissue regeneration and causes microscopic pinholes inside the canal. And your body, when you have injury, your body fixes itself and it does a tissue regeneration. So depending upon what the doctor sees or what type of incontinence you have, they'll suggest either one or the other, or both, or that with another one. So, yeah.
So the other thing is then, obviously, a lot of women have this problem, but they're afraid to talk about it.
Absolutely.
So so when you go to see your gynecologist, obstetrician, how do you raise the subject?
How do you? You know what? First of all, we're going to get help. And I believe in myself, and all of us should really believe in ourselves, that whatever it is, we're asking for help with our own body and our lives. And I always go like this. I was like, would I want my daughter to do this? Yes, I'd want them to open up. So that's the easiest way for me. Every mother gets a little bit stronger when it says, well, I'm going to do this for my child because she shouldn't have to go through what I'm going through. So then you could do it. That's it. If you're a mother. Otherwise, you got to do it for yourself.
And I think for women, it's just even sharing the information with your friends to talk about it. Because I find once you start to talk about it, everybody starts talking about what their issues are and think that there's no help.
Right. And you know what? It's really up to us. I mean, it is a taboo subject and it's up to women like yourself. So thank you so much for actually talking about it and bringing it out on a podcast like this and tell another woman. We want to spread the word that there are options to enhance our intimacy, our sexual health, our well-being. And the more women talk and we stand up, the more they're going to write about it, the more information is going to get out there, and the more solutions we'll have.
Well, I think part of the problem is it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to admit that you have some sort of problem, and people don't like to admit to things that.
But it's not a problem. Everybody has it. Just like with the men, Viagra wasn't a problem. It's all over the place. People are like, I have Viagra. Nobody's embarrassed. Right. Erectile dysfunction. So, I hate to say it, is we need to change the stereotype. It's not embarrassing. We all have it. It's not. It's part of our, the way we were built.
I know when I hear a lot of women who are pregnant also have some incontinence. Mm-hmm. Does it go away afterwards or once it happens?
Right. So everybody's different. At some point you're going to get it again, though. The majority of women, some people are lucky that they don't. It's also really staying super healthy and doing, I find that a lot of women who do Pilates and things like that, the yoga, they don't have it as bad. That's true.
I do Pilates.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I do. And that's one of the subjects we actually talk about is exercises you could do in Pilates even to strengthen the
pelvic floor. Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
So they talk about it. And it really does help. It really, and that's the point. But you do Pilates a lot. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to do Pilates 6 times and then not have.
I've been doing Pilates for years. So,
I do.
That's good. I think as a woman, and I say this to everybody, is you have to stay physically active. Because staying physically and mentally active help with all of these issues because you become not afraid to talk about things because you are hearing what other people are talking about and you can share your stories and get people to talk about it. Because I find if I bring it up to somebody, the first response is, oh, no, that doesn't happen to me. At which point I said, have you ever sneezed?
You're right.
Have you ever sneezed?
Exactly.
Have you ever laughed so hard?
Right. It depends. Right. It depends on. I agree. I remember when I first got in the business, I was at a dinner table, very fancy ladies, and they're like, "Oh no. Right. That's not me. Oh, I don't have the incontinence. Oh no. And I'm like this. I'm here at a table with 10 women. Statistically, this is not possible. Statistically, statistically, at your age, at our age, that nobody at this table has it. By the end of the evening, everybody has it.
Well, I think, it's part of what we're doing is starting the conversation, is getting people to feel comfortable, like the other podcast we did about sexuality.
Absolutely.
None of this stuff should be secretive. None of us should be embarrassed to talk about these things because they're important. And they make our life better. Knowing that there's some way to deal with it makes your life better because then you know that there's possibilities of something that you can do to improve whatever it is. So I just can't tell you how important I think it is to have these dialogues and let women know they're not alone.
That's exactly, you've hit it right there on the head. You're not alone. And that's the whole thing. And that's what I always say. You're not alone. Everybody has these. And I love that you said that. I think that's going to be my slogan. You're not alone.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. It's true.
But I think that there's so many times we're just too embarrassed to talk about it.
Right. So, but that's the whole thing. Somebody has to start, like yourself. You have to start talking about it because otherwise there's never going to be solutions. And people aren't going to know, they don't know that there's places like the Vspot all over the,
Right.
So, yeah, we have to talk about it. We have to do it for us and the next generation.
Absolutely.
I'm kicking myself off the planet already. I'm not that old.
So if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's your website? Is there an 800
Sure.
number?
It's Vspot, Vspot Medi Spa. And the phone number is 800-408-8776. And you could email us or call us, and I'd be happy to research anywhere in the country to get you, a place that is like this place and that could actually help and treat everybody.
So do you have any last words that you want to impart to our podcast listeners?
Yes, please play this podcast to somebody else and talk about it so other women start spreading the word that there are solutions and we're not alone.
Thank you very much for taking the time to do this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
From the team at MD Source, here's to good health and to helping you become a more informed you. For the latest and most up-to-date information on health topics, visit mdsource.com. Drop us a line, sign up for our newsletter, and connect with us at mdsource.com.